You are watching the Notre Dame Recruiting Update with Mike Singer. My name is Trey Yanity. Welcome to the show, guys. As always, thank you for joining us on this Thursday afternoon for the lunch hour here as we get you into the world of Notre Dame recruiting. Mike, I want to know how you're doing again, as always, this week. And guys, as we get into the show, please hit that like button for me. Get us to 500 likes and subscribe to the channel. You have to be a member, a subscriber to get in our comment section today, and we are going to be taking questions on this show at the end. So please subscribe to our channel so you can get in the comments. Let us know what you think about Notre Dame recruiting. Notre Dame's big win over the Clemson Tigers, a top 5 win for the Irish. And guys, of course, your questions on recruiting as well. Mike, how you doing, man? Big week, election week, and of course, Notre Dame with a big win on Saturday.
You know, Trey, the only reason I know today's Thursday is because our show's today. That's, I mean, it's hard to keep track of the days, man. Like it's busy. It's the thick of football season, and it's recruiting season as well. And very busy time, and it's only going to heat up more. I mean, just think about Notre Dame playing at USC that last game of the week. Typically, under Brian Kelly, Notre Dame would just stay on the West Coast and do those home visits with the West Coast recruits. I'm sure that's kind of what Notre Dame is going to be doing here. So in a few weeks, so it's just going to be very busy. Maybe some official visitors in December. So, there's Josh Buffo there, Ian Book's twin. I mean, this guy looks just like Notre Dame's old quarterback. Yeah. So, should be a fun show.
I love it. Thank you for being here, Josh. I see Charlie there as well. Guys, keep getting these comments in. And today's show is going to be brought to you by the 2023 Aer Lingus College Football Classic. We're going to tell you more about that game and everything going on with our friends at Aer a little bit later on. Some big recruits to talk about. Mike, I was sitting there watching my favorite Gordon Ramsay show last night, and I saw that you put a new prediction in for running back Aeneas Williams out of the class of 2024. I want to get to this first year because I know it's pressing, and I know that prediction came later on last night. What went into that prediction for you? And tell me a little bit more about Aeneas Williams.
Yeah, I thought it was Aeneas until I was told it was Aeneas. I wasn't ever sure, but I kind of like Aeneas more. I feel like
Aeneas has a nice ring.
Very, very proper. I love this kid's recruitment. I saw him. I'm going to give the long version of the story here. It is. Look at the top of the screen. This is the Mike Singer show. Basically, we have really the Tim Hyde show on Wednesday nights. We have the Mike Goolsby show Sunday. This is Mike Singer's time to shine.
Oh yeah.
So I got my water here, and I'm just going to ramble.
Please.
In February, he had 2 scholarship offers. I want to say maybe he was from Missouri, but it was a small school, and then Oregon. But at the time, it was like, really? I mean, Oregon's that's a powerhouse program. Like, they really offered this kid? Like, he's got like no other offers. And I remember seeing him at the 7-on-7 in Atlanta. I'm like, man, this kid looks pretty good. And all I knew is that he was visiting Notre Dame in March. And he was going on, with a few other players with his 7-on-7 team. And actually it was April 2nd. And that's it. He visited. Oh, nice. And I think I might have wrote a story on him. Again, he wasn't really a notable prospect at that time. Then the camp circuits hits in June. Picks up an offer from Alabama while he's camping for Nick Saban. And then a couple days later, goes to Notre Dame, picks up an offer from Notre Dame. And let's look at this offer list now. This is all just June. I mean, late July, he picks up Ohio State, Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, Kentucky, Georgia, Michigan State, USC. I mean, the kid, I don't know if the kids say someone goes from 0 to 100 real quick anymore, but that's what Aeneas Williams did. He went from, and I remember his 7-on-7 coach telling me he's the best back in the country. And I'm like, all right, Mr. Hype Man, sure. You're 1 or 2 off of running backs the best in the country. He was right. I mean, he might be right. He's definitely one of the best running backs in the country. It's just it took a while for college coaches to kind of get on the hype train. It just shows how quickly dominoes can fall in recruiting. That you pick up Bama, you pick up Notre Dame, boom, everyone's like, all right, we need to offer this kid. Yeah, he's ranked as the number 11 the number 11 running back in the country per the On3 consensus, but yeah, he's someone who I can see just continuing to shoot up the rankings. He's not playing great ball in the state of Missouri. He's outside of St. Louis, so he's not playing like that. Really strong, private school ball in St. Louis. But I mean, I got tagged in a tweet earlier this season. He scored 9 touchdowns in a single game. So he's a dude, and that's the recruiting side of things. That was only like 2 minutes. I'm proud of myself there. In terms of him and Notre Dame specifically, he's been to South Bend more than any other college. He went April 2nd, and then he was back for Irish Invasion, which I got to see him live, and he was outstanding that day. And then he returned, I'm going to say it was at the end of July for that cookout at Notre Dame, and then was just back to experience his first Notre Dame game to see the Irish knock off Clemson. And coming out of the visit, Notre Dame sources feel like he is the leader. Some folks close to Williams feel the same. Basically, what I'm told is that, we might go see a couple more places, and I just don't think that he is far off from making a decision. I think that, this recruiting process is just blown up so much for him. I think you might want to take a step back and just kind of be like, all right, I think he's taken a ton of visits. So I think he wants to, kind of wrap this thing up, sooner than later, because he has gotten a pretty expansive recruiting process just in the past 6 months or so, again, because he's been to so many different colleges. So obviously I like Notre Dame to land him. Before I logged my pick, the on 3 RPM read Notre Dame was about, I think it was 35% as the leader. Now it's shot up to 89 again because of the pick. If he visits again this calendar year for Notre Dame, I think you have to love where the Irish. Yeah, 34 point. Look at on 3. Look at that. That looks sweet.
Singer with the power. I love it.
So, yeah, you can go to his profile. That Intel piece is Lucky Charms list. I'm going to ask Chris not to click on it because that's for our website subscribers. Yeah, I'm loving Notre Dame here. I think Dylan McCullough, Notre Dame's running backs coach, has done a fantastic job. He told me it's like a 4-hour drive, and from Hannibal, Missouri, can't say I've ever been, to South Bend. That's a plus. And Notre Dame's done well in Missouri. Again, most of that's in St. Louis, but there's just a lot to kind of like here for Notre Dame.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Out of Hannibal, we talked about high school names last week. I think Hannibal there might be on the list here. Might be leading the Elephants out of Missouri up to Notre Dame. And Mike, I'm so impressed as we start the show here. Your Drake reference within the first 5 minutes, just unbelievable.
Is that even a Drake? See, I didn't even.
Well, it was spot on. So kudos
All right,
there.
cool.
With a guy like Williams, that it really is a snowball effect. He has so many offers, takes so many visits at one time. What do you think in his mind is separating a school like Notre Dame from these other schools?
Trey, I think I could give this answer to pretty much anyone who picks Notre Dame. It's the combination of athletics and academics. I mean, that's what draws kids to Notre Dame. Just the academic prestige is a big deal. Life after football, and just the story tradition of that football program. As I say that, though, I think I'm going to add in a third element, and I think I'm just going to call it kind of the Marcus Freeman effect, because you couldn't get a more opposite coach from Brian Kelly to Marcus Freeman. Not only the fact that Kelly was more offensive minded and Freeman's defensive minded, or Freeman's half of Kelly's age, or Freeman being African American. Like, there's kind of those aspects, but the biggest one is just how much of a grinder Freeman is on the recruiting trail. And I've been told that when the recruits love Marcus Freeman, Freeman's batting at a fantastic percent of landing those kids, like the players who just are in awe of Freeman and just, I don't want to say idolize him, but idolize him, like that kind of thing. Freeman gets those kids. Now I don't know what exactly Aeneas Williams, how much he loves Freeman, but I do know that he thinks highly of him. And I mentioned McCullough, Notre Dame's running backs coach. Follow the visits is my mantra. And, he's been to Notre Dame more than any other school at this point, Trey.
Yeah, it's definitely telling, I think. And, Marcus Freeman seems like such a big relationship guy. I think relationships or kind of everything in some cases here in recruiting. Marcus Freeman has done a really good job of that. Like you said, Aeneas Williams will not be part of the 2023 team if he does decide on Notre Dame eventually. But the guys that are part of that team are going to be taking a trip over to Ireland, and we want you to be a part of that experience as well, guys. Next year to start the 2023 season, August the 26th, I believe. It's the 2023 Aer Lingus College Football Classic as the Fighting Irish, really classic matchup here, going to be taking on the Navy Minden ship as they return to Dublin, Ireland. I believe it was Nebraska Northwestern this year to open up the season in Dublin there. It looked like an incredible event. And Notre Dame, really sticking to their roots here, going to Ireland, going to be playing that game there. You guys are going to want to get your hands on exclusive game ticket packages, private welcome experiences, official packages, so much more. And we can provide that for you at nd2ireland.com. That's the letter N, the letter D, and the number 2 Ireland.com. That's your only destination to secure official packages, like I said, exclusive game tickets, and a private welcome experience. Guys, in Ireland, there's so much to do. You can visit Dublin. I'm a fan of Ed Sheeran's Galway Girl. Never been to Galway, but it looks like a beautiful place. You can check that out as well. County Kerry and much more. I love St. Patrick's Day. Mike, I know you love St. Patrick's Day. Chris, our producer, can attest to my love for St. Patrick's Day. How about doing it in real life and going over to Dublin to start the 2023 season? And, of course, a great football game you're going to have on your hands there, as well as Notre Dame. It's going to be taking on Navy in that one. Again, that's just the letter ND, the number 2, Ireland.com, Indy to Ireland with the number 2 in there. Hurry up, guys. These ticket packages are selling fast. We like talking about fast on this show. Mike, speed, I think, was the theme of our episode just a couple weeks ago. And as we talk about some more of these recruits, speed, is certainly highlighted with Aeneas Williams there. Let's move on to Carson Hobbs now and talk about his commitment to Notre Dame. I believe just a day ago, this came together here. Thoughts on him as a player and thoughts on this commitment?
I kind of went through that whole thing about Aeneas Williams and how his recruitment came together. Hobbs it's pretty simple. I'm going to try to explain this one as simple as possible. Didn't have many offers. In South Carolina comes in. Their cornerbacks coach is a fantastic recruiter. South Carolina goes into Cincinnati, Ohio for a sophomore. Yeah, he hadn't played a snap as a junior, so we're calling him a sophomore corner. It's like, oh, okay. Okay, good job, South Carolina. And then and he was done. His recruitment was done. But there's always a but, right? Grew up a big fan of Notre Dame. He told me all of his family members are like diehard Notre Dame fans. So he said, Notre Dame's the only school that I will entertain, other than South Carolina. South Carolina, the Gamecocks really put their trust in him early when he didn't have many offers. And I think only has 5 or 6 to his name right now. So Notre Dame was the only other program he would have looked at here. Notre Dame, early September, invites him to campus. He couldn't go for the Marshall game, but then went on, got to South Bend for the Cal game, leaves campus armed with an offer from Notre Dame. And at that point, it's looking fantastic for Notre Dame. It's like, this is a diehard Notre Dame fan from Cincinnati committed to South Carolina. Like, I don't know South Carolina's history with Ohio football players, but I can't imagine it's a fertile recruiting ground for them. So, yeah. It's not a far drive from Cincinnati to Notre Dame. It's a lot closer than Columbia, South Carolina is, I'm sure, by many hours. So it just made a lot of sense here. And the question was kind of like when will Notre Dame push, or what does that look like? It's still early in the 24 cycle. Well, he got back up to campus for the Clemson game, and the rest was history. This is kind of how I wrote it at blueandgold.com. I'm at if you're watching this, you're a diehard Notre Dame fan. It is Thursday afternoon. Maybe you're watching this back Thursday night or Friday, but still, you are 15 minutes into a show about Notre Dame recruiting. We're not even talking like the actual Notre Dame football team. You are spending this time of your day about high school football players that may or may not go to Notre Dame. You are a diehard fan. So just imagine if you were a high school recruit and you got great seats for Notre Dame Clemson, and the Irish, a 5-3 Irish team, trounced the number 4 undefeated Clemson 35-14. how hard would it be for you not to commit to Notre Dame at that point? That's Carson Hobbs. He's a diehard Notre Dame fan. So of course he was going to commit to Notre Dame. So he decommits from South Carolina Tuesday night and commits to Notre Dame the next morning. So he had already told Notre Dame, like, hey, I'm coming to you guys. And Notre Dame's response is, have you told South Carolina yet? And he hadn't. He wanted to tell Notre Dame, and then he gave that call to South Carolina, which was tough for him. Like, I think that's something that for Notre Dame fans, we always like to, be very upset when a kid flips away from Notre Dame. But when a kid flips to Notre Dame, we're not thinking about how hard it is to make that decommitment, even if you're flipping Notre Dame. And it was tough for him. But still, at the end of the day, it was a rather easy decision for Carson Hobbs. So not a guy highly ranked right now, Trey. But when you think about corners who are ranked highly, you think about the measurables, right? He's listed at 6'1", 180. Let's just say that those aren't verified. Let's just knock him down an inch and 10 pounds. Let's say he's 6 foot 170. Okay. I'll sign up for that. And he's a junior in high school. I'll sign up for that. I'm told he runs under a 4.5 40. You see him on offense on his clips. Sign me up for this kid. He's ranked as a 3-star right now. I think the stock is going to be way up for him. One of the best corners in Ohio. Teams aren't throwing the ball much his way, so he doesn't have these gaudy numbers, but big-time player. I think the more that the country gets exposed to him, the more everyone's going to like him, and I think his rankings will improve.
I think it's only going to go up here for Carson Hobbs as he continues in his recruitment. Got to be tough, like you said, to make that phone call to South Carolina and flip that commitment. But, Notre Dame's not going to complain with that. I see Jason with a comment there. Guys, keep getting your comments in. We're going to try to take as many questions as we can later on in the show here. Quick question here on Hobbs before we move on. Is there any reason to worry with the kind of, I don't want to say fly-by-night attitude, but, he's on a high right now with Notre Dame. You watch them get a big win. The next day, he makes that commitment.
Sure.
I know he's a Notre Dame fan, but is there any reason to worry that maybe he goes to another school and has a great experience and does the same?
That's a great question. And my answer is hell no. I mean, the only reason you should be a little bit worried is just because it's recruiting. But like I said, imagine you diehard Notre Dame fan. You're committed to Notre Dame. I'm going to ask you going to visit any other schools? I don't think so. I mean, like, the only reason you'd want to is just kind of like go get those free tickets and experience that. But in today's modern media, anytime a committed recruit visits elsewhere, it's a major story. I think our next segment is we're talking about Notre Dame commits visiting elsewhere because this is what people talk about. A couple of our questions I know we're going to get to are about flips. That's why if I write about a potential flip, whether it's to Notre Dame or away from Notre Dame, people want it. People crave that information. So if I'm Carson Hobbs, I'm thinking to myself, why? I don't want to create any headlines, like that kind of thing. But will Hobbs visit elsewhere? Maybe, but I would have no concern. Again, going back to my whole Notre Dame thing, the Notre Dame fans Notre Dame fan is going to Notre Dame. I mean, come on. I doubt it.
Yeah, I like it. Carson Hobbs, big Notre Dame fan, saw him get a big win this weekend. Got probably an incredible atmosphere with the green and all that. Really fun game to watch. And like you said, Mike, our next segment is about guys that are visiting other schools, guys that, maybe we could see flip at some point. Guys like Peyton Bowen, Jaden Greathouse. Talk about some of these guys and maybe other names that, are pursuing other schools or are visiting other schools at least. And, what you expect to see from these guys down the road here.
Yeah. Last week it was a kind of rapid fire and kind of regretted that, even though I came up with the show outline. So we're going to go back to that. We're going to give that another try. And we have a pretty big audience for, a Thursday afternoon joining us, talking some Notre Dame recruiting. So folks, I would definitely recommend hitting that thumbs up button and of course, subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you're new here, I mean, we got to start with Peyton Bowen. And again, folks, it's just a recurring topic. It's something that we have to discuss. I mean, if there's always going to be rumors about Peyton Bowen visiting elsewhere, and he does visit elsewhere, we have to talk about it, right? On3 did an article about college football recruits who might flip or stick, right? And Peyton Bowen was, of course, one of those players. He's a 5-star safety. Of course, he's going to be included. A Texas A&M guy thought he was going to flip. A national guy thought he was going to flip. And then the Notre Dame guy, me, thinks he's going to stick. Okay. I mean, I see Twitter's all up in arms about it. I'm like, guys, like, would you want those people to just not give their opinion and lie to you just to make Notre Dame fans feel good? Like, they're just giving their opinion. Everyone's like, oh, On3, he's trying to get Peyton Bowen to flip. What the hell sense does that make? They're just giving their opinion. Are you gonna make that same point that Mike Singer's trying to get him to stick? I'm not trying to get him to stick. It's not my job. It's Notre Dame's job. I don't care where he goes. Like, just in the sense of like my livelihood's at stake. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I get paid the same. So my little rant, regardless. Go ahead, Trey.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, for those that haven't read those articles from On3, out of the state of Texas, and your article as well, what goes into what they're saying, and why do they believe that he, would potentially make that move?
I'm projecting him to stay at Notre Dame because of what I'm told, and they're just projecting him to go elsewhere based on what they're told. This is why I always say, we'll see. We'll see who's right at the end of this. I've been right a lot of times. I've been wrong a lot of times. We'll just have to see. But I really do think he's going to stick with Notre Dame. This is the most, right now, as we record this video, this is the most confident I felt. I wrote in the Gold Standard on Monday, which you can find. This is my big scoop article piece of the week, that this was the most confident I felt coming off his visit for the Clemson game. It's more so now. I feel even more confident than when I wrote that article. I think he's going to stick. And I think that's it. Yeah.
And I think it really was a huge weekend for guys like Peyton Bowen and others that we've talked about earlier on the show here. Let's move down the list a little bit, though. Jaden Greathouse, guys like Dylan Edwards. Who are they visiting, and how firm do you feel about their commitment?
Okay, back on Bowen real quick. There's a report that he's going to visit Texas this weekend. Apparently he's not anymore, but apparently he still might. I don't know. I don't think he will, but again, we'll see. We'll see. But folks, like, I don't know. I just feel like Notre Dame, like, I see a lot of Notre Dame fans are like, he gone. Oh, Peyton Bowen's taking another visit this weekend. He gone. But then, like, On3, a writer's like, oh, I think he's going to flip, and we're all mad about it. Like, which one is it? Like, do we think he's going to flip or I don't know. But again, I think he sticks. Okay. Jaden Greathouse is visiting Texas this weekend, as he currently plans to, at least. I don't get why there's like some starting to be concern that he could flip. He's an Austin kid. His whole family is Texas fans. He probably grew up a Texas fan, right? And he's going to Notre Dame, which is kind of like the opposite of the whole Carson Hobbs thing. But I think he wants to get out. But he's from Austin, right? That's kind of a thing to note here. He's from Austin and wants to experience something different. So, yeah, it's not a surprise that he's driving 10 minutes down the road and getting a ticket to see the game that has College Game Day at it, right? TCU's the number 4 team in the country, right? Number 4, Trey?
Yes. Somehow still undefeated, too, which is extremely impressive.
So, I don't think this is a big deal, but I just kind of wanted to address it because he is visiting another school. And I also want to I want to pull up this comment real quick. Those Notre Dame fans of the worst. Trucker Joe, I wanted to say you're a Notre Dame fan and you're teasing me. My show is for Notre Dame fans. I want to, not only provide some insight, but to give you guys like some perspective and context on how I think you should maybe think about some of these things. So that's all. Yeah. But yeah, I think Greathouse is sticking. I don't think there's any problem there. Folks on the Longhorn side of things think that there is more to see. It goes back to we'll see, but yeah, I think that Notre Dame's good here.
Yeah, it'd be big to get another player out of the state of Texas in Jaden Greathouse there. And, you look at the metrics, 6'2", 219 at wide receiver would be a great big body kind of guy to get in this class.
It would be great.
Yeah.
Would be no pun intended.
Would be great. I love it, Mike. And Trucker Joe, thank you for the comment. I love to see that as well, guys. We're going to try to get some of these questions here in just a bit. Let's talk about a few more, though. Dylan Edwards, Adnan Schuler, if we kind of want to group these guys here to move on through it, and maybe Owen Wafel as well. Where are they visiting, and how do you feel there?
Yeah, Dylan Edwards didn't go to Notre Dame this past weekend, but did go to Kansas State. I'm told he wasn't able to make it to Notre Dame, and his good buddies committed to Kansas State, and it was his birthday, and he went to Kansas State. Nothing to see here, I'm told. These should be locked in with the Fighting Irish. Nothing to see there. Adon Schuler, picked up that offer from Ohio State, and just kind of my gut was like, maybe this one was because he's picked up offers since he's been committed to Notre Dame, like Alabama and Georgia and A&M have all offered him in the past year. But this one felt a little bit different. Just kind of my spidey senses were tingling, when I'm just trying to talk to different people close to him. It's like, what? Something kind of fell off, but all of the he was at Notre Dame this past weekend, and tweets from his dad just seemed very solid about like he's coming to Notre Dame. So that one looks great. Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman and Chad Bowden have a relationship that goes back a long ways with Irvington head coach. I just call him Coach Smoke. I can't remember his real name, but they go back a long ways. So Adon Schuler's good. Owen Wafel, the 2024 defensive lineman, I did get to talk to him, and I'll have that article up at Blue and Gold in the next couple days, I hope. It's been an extremely busy week, but he's picked up offers from his father's alma mater. Oklahoma's offered him. Illinois offered him recently, but he's locked in with Notre Dame. He was also on campus this past weekend. So that's the 5 I can think of that, and I'm grasping to even mention Wafel, in my opinion, or even Greathouse or Schuler and Edwards, really. I think the only player that you have to have a little bit of concern with is Bowen. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, with every single player, you have to have a little bit of concern just because it's recruiting and it's NIL world, so who the heck knows? But I'm feeling really good. And I also want to go back to I'm the Notre Dame guy, so maybe this is just some big Notre Dame homer here, but I'm just telling you guys what I'm told, right? That's all I can do at the end of the day. As well as kind of give you guys my read on it as well. And I'm feeling good about Notre Dame here.
Yeah, I like it. And, Bowen may be a bit more of a high profile guy compared to some of these others. But, at the moment, I agree. I think we'll see sticks there and hopefully others as well here. You said it, Mike. It's been a busy week for you. I know, a busy week in the world of college football. Part of that week was the CFP poll that came out on Tuesday. You said it, TCU at number 4, Georgia at the top there at number 1, the Bulldogs. And you know what, Mike? Notre Dame actually used to celebrate a dog as well. Their mascot was a terrier in the 30s, into the 40s, the 50s, but then in the 1960s, they wisened up a little bit and selected the Leprechaun as their mascot. And now you guys can be a part of that experience. The Leprechaun's game day at Notre Dame, inspired by the former Leprechaun himself, Mike Brown. The Leprechaun's game day at Notre Dame is an officially licensed children's book that describes the beautiful pageantry of a football Saturday at Notre Dame. You can follow the Leprechaun on an adventure from step off into the tunnel and onto Notre Dame's field as he leads the team to an Irish victory. It's as easy as going to www.lepgameday.com and entering the code BG22 to get your author-signed copy today. That's www.lepgameday.com, entering the code BG22, like blue and gold, in the year 2022. BG22, get your author-signed copy today. What a perfect Christmas gift as we get into the season. I don't know if you guys hand out gifts on Thanksgiving, but hey, maybe get in advance here. It's guaranteed to delight the Irish fan in your life, alumni, students, kids, and Irish fans everywhere. Guys, check out this book. That is The Leprechaun's Game Day at Notre Dame. As Mike, we roll through here, getting close to the end of our show.
No, Trey. No, you don't get to transition after that. We have to talk about that. I was literally about to text you saying, hey, don't forget about Mike Brown.
I would never forget about
that was top notch, bro. That was one of your better ones.
I appreciate it. I stay up all night. Like I said, Mike, I think all day about
in there. Good job.
Guys, check out the book, please. lepgameday.com. Let's wrap it up here, Mike. How do you see Notre Dame finishing this 2023 class? We're into the month of November now. Anything else we need to look out for at this moment?
Let's pop this one up on the screen from earlier. This can deny or confirm rumblings on a 2023 quarterback? Any mention of potential flips or transfer portal line out there? They're going to hopefully take a 2023 quarterback. That's the plan. I hope they do. I mentioned a name at blueandgold.com on my Lucky Charms article Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I would recommend checking that out. We're not going to dive into the name right now. It's premium information for our website subscribers, but they're working on it. I've still just had it's been a puzzling cycle for Notre Dame. Even last year's was puzzling to an extent where it's like they're offering. They kind of went in on a Walker Howard and the LSU quarterback commit, but then kind of pulled out late. Like it didn't make that whole pursuit didn't make much sense. And then they kind of went on Nick Evers late, who ended up at Oklahoma and didn't really offer him that one never made sense. And it's like Brady Allen's in your backyard this entire time. Why, if you're going to take it, like, do you want a second quarterback or not? Last year just didn't make any sense. This year, it's like, do you even want a quarterback? Like, it hasn't made, like, I think they made a mistake, right, in going that all-in approach on Dante Moore. It's one of those things that if it works out, it's the most amazing idea ever. But if it doesn't, then you're an idiot, kind of thing, right? And it didn't work out. Dante Moore's committed to Oregon, and I know there was a crystal ball flip at the other network that's got him going to Michigan State. I don't know the validity of that, but I'm told Notre Dame is really not involved here. So it's like, they got to get somebody. I do think they should get a transfer as well, regardless of if they get a quarterback, a high school quarterback commit. But as we look through all these names, I mean, Avery Johnson, I think they could have had a commitment from for several months, but it's like they went it all on Dante Moore. And Jackson Arnold, I think they could have a commitment from. If they would have had if they would have offered Chris Vizina earlier, I think they would have landed him. Maybe even Austin Novosad. So it's been puzzling. So I do think that they're going to get a quarterback in this class. I can't tell you who, and I don't know if Notre Dame knows who at this point.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about on almost every episode. Quarterbacks in this 2023 class going to be interesting to follow. But like you said, Mike, I mean, Notre Dame kind of put themselves in a weird spot, with the Dante Moore recruitment. Let's move along. Just one more question as we wrap it up here.
Trey, I'm sorry. I didn't even finish the rest of your question about how I see the class finishing up. I think they're going to take another offensive lineman. Chris Tarek, Wisconsin commit, seems to be the leading candidate there, as we've been saying for a couple weeks. And then there's kind of just like offensive athlete spots. They got like Caleb Smith, who's a receiver, Brandon Hillman, who could be really anywhere except for offensive line. Like, I don't know, he's pretty big. Maybe he could play tight end, probably not tight end, but running back, receiver, wildcat quarterback, maybe just quarterback. Like, who knows? But if Brandon Hillman commits, I don't think you look at him as like the quarterback commit in this class. He's just a guy who you bring in a good play quarterback. At least that's my opinion. And then Khalil Barnes is a receiver who could play corner. So there's three guys there. And are they able to take all three? Is it two of the three? If all three want in, and I know Notre Dame's the leader for all of them per the on-3 RPM, it's just a good problem to have for Notre Dame. And then the priority is keeping Peyton Bowen. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, it's keeping Peyton Bowen committed. I think at Viper, they're just going to go the portal route. They got a solid group of linebackers committed. They're done there. But another kind of thing to watch in a storyline here at what's left in the 23 class is the unknown. This ain't Brian Kelly's Notre Dame anymore. Under Marcus Freeman, they're aggressive. They're not settling. They're eyes on everything happening in college football recruiting. So yeah, I just said, and this is a total hypothetical example. I'm just making up. They have three linebackers committed, right? They're done there. But if some 5-star linebacker came available or someone they really like they would go after that. Again, I'm not saying that Notre Dame is actually doing that. It's just an example. So I just think that is something to keep an eye on. Something like a second tight end or God knows a fourth running. Like who knows for Notre Dame? Maybe they end up with 2 quarterbacks, like true quarterback. Like there's just like that unknown factor that I think you have to keep in mind. Like all these reporters, all the different websites are saying like here's the names to watch, here's the positions to watch, but definitely keep an eye on the unexpected for Notre Dame recruiting. I think that's definitely going to be prevalent.
It's a little stressful, but it's exciting, right?
I mean, stressful for me, yeah, Trey, that I don't know what's going to happen each day when I wake up for sure.
Well, there's nobody that works harder than Mike. And guys, you're going to want to check out his work, blueandgold.com. Go check that out right now. Articles constantly coming out about Notre Dame at the college football level right now, but in the world of recruiting as well. This is the unknown as we get closer to December the 21st. Who knows what quarterback looks like at that point, and if they decide to add other pieces elsewhere. But like I said, blueandgold.com, check that out today and subscribe to our channel. Love seeing all the comments we had today. To get in the comments, you have to be a subscriber. So we hope you join us next week, and we hope that you've subscribed to our channel so you can get in those comments as well. On the way out, guys, hit that like button for me. Help this video get up to 500 likes. We appreciate everybody joining us. Excellent crowd today on this Thursday afternoon. So thank you guys so much. For Mike Singer, my name is Trey Yanity. This has been the Notre Dame Recruiting Update on Blue and Gold. Have a great weekend, everybody.